Okay, first video. So I thought we'll start by learning how to throw. Throwing is something that I don't think you should necessarily put dedicated practice behind. It's one of those things that it's just going to get better and better over time and it will naturally improve. However, given that sometimes you might not even do a bind, right? You might not even use a trapeze, you might go straight into 1.5. Whereas throwing is literally something that you need to do every time you throw a yo-yo. So it's a great place to start. I know it's basic, I know you already know how to throw, and there is no real wrong way to throw. However, there is a better way and a more optimal way. So since you're going to be working on your yo-yoing for the next weeks and months to come, what better way to start than learning how to throw? And every time you throw, have a conscious, so you know consciously like what is the better way and you're working towards it. So instead of just without thinking about it, just throwing it out there and starting that way, it might be a better thing if you are putting a conscious effort behind every throw in your practice. So in a sense, you're practicing, say, a trapeze and you're practicing your throw at the same time. So why do I want to teach you how to throw properly? There's a couple of things. First one is you want to be able to throw so that it's as straight as possible. There's least amount of tilt. There's nothing too wrong with tilt. So like say that's a tilty throw, and it's not too difficult to correct that tilt. And then even mid throw, you can do micro adjustments. However, if it start with a straight throw to begin with, it makes everything a lot easier. And also, you want to get a nice strong throw, but a strong throw isn't necessary every single time. So I think when you first start, it's easy to get wrapped up in this idea that I need a really strong throw because your throw right now will not be as optimal and you're running out of spin. So you think the way to correct that is having a stronger throw, which is partially true, but it's more of having a better throw. And it's plane management. So if I'm trying to do something and then my strings are rubbing against the side, it's going to kill the spin really quickly. But if my strings are not touching the sides and it's staying within that bearing, then that throw is going to last for a lot longer. But for me, one of the key reasons on a purely superficial side is just space. So this is I know earlier when I filmed with you, I was in the kitchen, but this is where I normally throw vast majority of the time. So it's my little study room. My wall is here, my door is here. So it's about 2 meters wide, if that, and the width it's just under a meter. So it's quite a small space, right? So it's just under a meter to my door, my desk, but to where it juts out here is 50 centimeters. So I just have this narrow corridor for me to yo-yo. And then one of the things is, as you get better, if you get completely absorbed by this hobby like me, I never leave the house without one of these. I always have one in my pocket even if I'm just in the house. I have yo-yos everywhere, kitchen. If I'm at the post office, while I'm waiting in queue, I just take the yo-yo out, play around with it. Where I'm at the park with the kids, at the office, just pretty much anywhere I would yo-yo. So when you're yo-yoing in public and in a small room like this, space management is quite important too. So when you first look at yo tricks, they will teach you, okay, front style, they say make a muscle, throw it out, and that's how you throw it. Slide style, make a muscle, throw it out, and that's how you throw it. The issue with that method is when you're throwing it out and you're casting it out this way, my string is 120 centimeters long, and then my arm, I don't know. So you're taking up all of your social distancing 6 feet just with your throw. And as that swings around this way, that's another a meter or so. So you're taking up about 3 meters of space just to throw the yo-yo, which isn't feasible all the time. I mean, you have to bear in mind my room is only 2 meters wide. So when you're outside, you want to have a more compact throw, and then as you're yo-yoing, you're taking about this much space, about a meter, 50 centimeters either side of you, and you want to stay in this zone, and it doesn't feel like other people around you don't feel like, oh shit, like, you know, there's something about to fly at me. It's much more compact. It makes your tricks faster later on. So imagine if I'm doing something that's simple like double or nothing, casting it out and that. Whereas if you had a more compact throw, going straight into double or nothing, it just makes everything more compact. Looks like you know what you're doing better, and it's a lot faster. There's lots of benefits, and also, funnily enough, it feels like you're getting a more powerful throw by casting it out longer distance. You know, forcing distance over time. But actually, a compact throw gives you a more powerful throw. So let's learn on how to throw your throws straighter, which means no tilt, stronger, and taking up less space. So let's address one thing at a time. So straight throw is an element of where your yo-yo goes out, really. That's kind of it. And then what arc it travels along. So if the yo-yo comes out of your hand tilted, naturally, it's going to be a tilted throw. If the yo-yo comes out of your hand straight, it's going to be a straight throw. So that's kind of it, but there's a little bit more variables to that. So no matter how your yo-yo comes out, if you pull it along a straight line, then it's going to be a straight throw. If you're pulling it along at like a, if you're pulling it along at an awkward line, then it might not be a straight throw. And then the great thing about straight throws is it's a throw that doesn't really vibe as much as well. So when you first start, I'm sure you get a lot of these throws where it's not about being tilted. That's the only issue. The issue comes from where, let me try. You have a yo-yo like doing this rather than being a smooth yo-yo where it's just looks like a yo-yo that's stationary rather than the yo-yo that's vibrating all like that, which isn't too much of a problem because even if it's vibrating, if you put your hand in the gap, it straightens out, it smooths out that vibe, and you get the same kind of effect. Let me try and do a vibey throw. Same kind of effect by just playing around with it on the string. As the string touches the yo-yo, it smooths out the vibe, and now it's back to a straight throw. So to be honest, the only way to really to get to the straightest throw in a short amount of time is build it up. I know there's a temptation every single throw to do the most powerful throw you can possibly do, but I think the problem is you don't always need that power. And just now when you saw it, when it comes back in the bind, because I didn't even do any tricks on it, it has so much momentum on it. It comes back really hard, it hurts your hand. And I don't know, like sometimes it's nice to just do a nice weak throw, get all that out, and then just do a nice gentle bind like that to finish. And also, the stronger you throw it, the more likely you're gonna not do it in the correct technique. So with anything, you want to kind of build it up. You don't want to go for the strongest throw. Like, say with golf, you're not trying to hit that 300-yard shot like with everything behind you. You want to get the technique right and then build up the power, build up the speed. So at first, you want to try and just almost just let it drop kind of thing. And then you get to a point where, oh, my throws are getting nice and straight. They're not vibrating, they're not tilting, that's quite good. And then just build up the power a little bit stronger. And then when that's good, you just want to get it a little bit stronger, and so on. Just kind of build it up. That's the best way to get a nice straight throw. But there's a bit more to that. So when you're throwing, I think when you first start, a lot of the mistakes that people make is to throw it out and then let it swing. And that's not how you get the power. The power, when you throw, is not where the power comes from, funnily enough. It's after you throw, and the yo-yo is in the air and is unwinding about here, and then you whip it round. Oops, I hit my floor. but when you whip it, that's where you get the power behind it. So it's a bit more difficult to kind of do it midair. But the idea is you kind of let go, and then you whip it out. So it's something like some things, you know, when you have a can at the end of the string and you're like swinging around and around, and then you kind of like, it's that momentum. So you're kind of like just letting it go. So when you try to throw it so hard, you're wasting all your energy to do this bit, but that's not where the power comes from. The power comes from unwinding all the way to the yo-yo. So you want to apply your power in the right place at the right time, rather than wasting it at the beginning and not having enough momentum or power to actually generate that right at the end. So the better way to get a powerful throw, and at the same time using up less space, is to kind of throw it up and then whipping it. If that makes sense. Sorry. I'm about to sneeze. Sorry about that. So yeah, you want to kind of, it's difficult to show because like it happens so quickly, but it's going like this. So I'm just like letting it go. Oh, sorry, I'm sneezing. I've been having hay fever all day today. So you let it go. So what's happening is you're not aiming to throw it out there. You're kind of aiming to almost throw it in between your feet, down there kind of thing. That's kind of the aim, like that. But obviously it's going to go more this way. You'll see why in a second. So you're throwing, and then the yo-yo is like leaving your hand, and this is just gentle motion. And then here, you're whipping it. You're like kind of as if you're doing a golf shot. You're like whipping it around and then getting that all the string once it's kind of left the hand and it started unwinding. So the momentum is picking up, and then you're kind of, you can even do like this. Say practice like this. So unwind the string a little bit and then pull at it so that string gets caught in the yo-yo, and it's like this. And then, oops. Okay. Let me try that again. And then just whip it out. That's a good way to practice. So like this, you pull at the string once it's unwound a bit, and then it gets stuck in the gap, and then you just whip it out. That's kind of the motion that you're going through. And that's the best way to get a powerful throw. So it's leaving your hand and then you whip. So that's kind of where you want to get to. You don't want to do this casting motion where it's kind of like just yo-yo's unwinding. You want to kind of make the bearing. It's like, I don't know. I think you probably get my point by now, but yeah. So the idea is the throw comes from the wrist, and it's not about your arm like this. It's more this whipping motion where the power comes from, where the accuracy comes from. So just to prove my point, you can throw like this. This is the most basic throw. Or you could literally have it like, say, I don't know, like on a palm, like that. Or yeah, like we did earlier, like this. Is it stuck? Yeah. So there's various ways you can throw it, and all of them, see, like a doorknob, should work. What other ways are there? We've done the palm, we've done the doorknob. You can even hold like this and throw. It's like how you hold it itself shouldn't matter as much, because the idea is you're getting the power from literally kind of doing, maybe this might be the best way. Kind of doing that kind of motion where you're kind of dragging the bearings through, like really like making that spin. So that's kind of where I want you to work on. So firstly, for front style, actually, this might make more sense. So when you throw, an easy mistake to make is throw and turn your hand at the same time. What is a better way to do it is to throw and then turn your hand. And naturally over time you'll find the balance where it looks like you're throwing and turning at the same time, and it kind of is, but you know where the string's released and then you're turning your hand. So at first when you practice, just throw and then turn your hand. That introduces less tilt. When you're trying to throw and turn your hand at the same time, sometimes the yo-yo is not left and you're kind of introducing an extra tilt to the yo-yo without realizing it, and it starts vibing. A good way to think about it is think of it as the yo-yo is coming off your middle finger, like this. The string is literally, so let me try that for you. It's literally like this. That's a very straight way to get a throw. And then once it's down, then you can turn, and then you can go into whatever you want to do. So side style is basically the same thing. You come, but its difference is because you have all this space and this channel to work with, whereas front style is going to hit right into you. You whip it around. That final whipping motion is what makes a powerful throw. Whip. So if you look at my throw, it's probably leaving like this, and then you see my hands speeding up. So you want to see it speed up, faster, faster, faster towards the end, rather than all that power at the beginning and then like a limp thing there. So I hope that's straightforward. I'm not sure if I explained it too well. I know I rambled on for ages, but let me know if you have any questions tomorrow. All right.